and welcome to episode 3 of my podcast. Today we're going to be speaking about a variety of things as usual that have popped into my mind over the last few weeks, and today's topics are going to be confidence and how it fluctuates, winter and how to get through it, and the balance between feeling and doing. And if you enjoy, please subscribe, but let's get into it. So first thing I want to talk about is confidence. And so I'm a medical student, if anyone here doesn't know, and that means that your learning involves going into hospital every day and finding a doctor to shadow and to kind of do things with. And this is like a luck thing, because some days you're not going to be able to find someone that cares, or they're too busy to do anything with you, and it ends up being a useless day. So you get rejected quite a lot, which I kind of get why they've done that, because I guess they want you to develop this resilience and this, like, get rid of this fear that you have of approaching people and asking for them, because you have to do that a lot as a doctor, appeal to other specialties and doctors to try to ask for things. So I think it makes sense, but it can be really tough as a student sometimes. On the block that I'm on at the moment, it's obs and gynae, which is to do with pregnant women and things like that, and things to do with the vagina, gynecology. And one of the sign-offs, one of the tasks that we have to complete is called a catheter, which is basically a tube that goes up your pee hole. And we have to do it on someone else. And I tried so many days to try and get this done. And honestly, for about 4 or 5 days, I was getting rejected every day to try and do this thing. And, you know, every time they say no, or they ignore you, or whatever, I know it's such a silly thing, and I usually don't really take things that seriously from the hospital. I don't know how to explain that, but for some reason this was really, I could see that I was just getting more and more depleted and apathetic as the days were going by, just because of this catheter thing. And I kept going, and I was like, I just need to get this done at this point, because the longer this is going on, the more that I believe that it's something wrong with me, that I cannot get this done. Why has everyone else been able to do it? But every time I go, there's some sort of problem, sometimes external, sometimes not related to anything that is controllable. And it made me realize that even though I'm a confident person, I think people would put that adjective onto me, and I would prescribe it to myself too. That doesn't mean that anyone is constantly confident. And it can, for someone that is confident, it's very natural, I think, when you don't feel it, to kind of be like, oh my god, like, what's wrong with me? I'm supposed to be okay at this, I'm supposed to be good at this. But it's something that fluctuates and goes up and down, and I think that's totally normal. And I realized this because I went in the following day and I grafted, and I finally got it done, and I felt so good after. I felt so good, and it just inspired me to do more things. I didn't have confidence the day before to do bloods, and I was like, I'm gonna do bloods today, who cares? Went, found an opportunity, did it, it was so easy, and I was like, okay, you're good at this, remember. So my tips are, if you're feeling in this sort of rut of of lack of confidence, whether you would say that you're a confident person or not, I think this is something that we have to practice, and we have to slowly keep putting ourselves out there. And also, I think going alone and trying things is a really great way to boost confidence. I think when you go with someone else, it's very easy to hide behind them and to sometimes go to their level just naturally. And it's not a bad thing. It's just, I think sometimes when you're by yourself, you think, survival mode, right, I've just got to do this, I've got to do whatever's in front of me. I remember when I went to a dance class, and it was the same thing. It was just like, just got to put myself out there, I've got to go alone, and it was better that I went alone, and now I always go alone. So yeah, I think do one thing that you're scared of, try do it alone, and don't judge yourself because you're in the rut, is what I would say, kind of. So that is my stint on confidence done. Next thing I wanted to talk about is winter. And I've always hated winter. It's just cold and miserable, as we all know, and I always notice that my mood notably changes, as I'm sure many people's do. And it changed about a year and a half ago, when I went to Bali, and my friend was like, go and see this life coach, she's great, like, I love her, she's one of my friends, and like, she'll, you know, take you on she'll give you like a trial session and stuff. So I went for my session with her, and I like explained to her, like, look, I know I'm having a great time here, but I just don't connect with where I live. It's freezing, I don't feel warm inside, like I feel miserable, and I find it very difficult to get out of that mood. And I'd always hated Manchester before that, always wanted to leave the UK before that, and it's only like this year, maybe last year, that I don't really feel that way anymore. And I think there's a lot of people that feel this grass is greener mentality in terms of when you live in a cold country, or especially like in the UK, I think a lot of us feel that. I was definitely guilty to feeling that. But then she said to me, what if you just saw the temperature as what's inside of you? What if the warmth was coming from in you? So it didn't matter whether it was cold or warm outside. And as stupid as that sounds, it was just brilliant and helped me so much. It's why I painted my room orange. It's why I tried to just create this vibrancy in my inner world, and always just thought, how can I make things warmer inside? How can I fuel myself and make myself feel powerful and strong and good, and as much as I can, obviously not all the time, and trying to develop this fire has helped me survive the terrible climate of Manchester. And that really worked last year, and this year winter's come around again, and I noticed myself dipping and struggling again. And then someone else said something that, well, we need winter, because otherwise when would we hibernate? When would we regain the energy? You know, summer we're out the whole time, we don't want to be at home. And again, I just thought that was brilliant. And now I've just completely shifted my mindset of, I don't need to be forcing myself to live up to this, expectation I have of myself that I'm going to be going outside the whole time socializing. I can be inside and it's fine. I can make this a nicer environment. I can get really into my shows. I can get really into my books. I can dedicate more time to that. I can enjoy the teas and the warm drinks and the nice, meals that I have more time to make because I'm not trying to go outside as much. That's helped massively as well. It's like, I am a sociable person, but I also do really love my time by myself. Classic line that everyone says, I know, but it's true. So yeah, I don't know, that's just really helped me reframing things. It's like the same with the confidence thing. So I try to encourage you to ask yourself in winter, what parts of your personality are brought out in this time, and how you can use them to your advantage, if that makes sense. But yeah, topic 3 that I wanted to talk about, which is really interesting in my opinion, is the balance between feeling emotion and pushing through things. I think this is literally, arguably, the dilemma that we all face every day with things. We all have emotions. Some of us are our natural gear is to feel. Whatever we feel, we go with. If we feel sad, we don't do. If we feel happy, we do. And we respond mostly to that. Other people may for a long time have suppressed those emotions, and so their go-to is, it doesn't matter what that's saying, because I always have to go. Both are admirable in their own ways. As always, we kind of want to have a balance. This idea came to me when I was watching the Kardashians, and if you watch the Kardashians, you'll know that Kourtney has become all like into therapy and very self-aware and stuff. And she was trying to speak to Kris, her mum, and who was just having none of it. And she was trying to encourage her to be a bit more self-aware and say, you're trying to control everything, you're trying to push through everything. Why don't you, just take a second and try to just relax and sit with it? And the mum was just not having it. And she was just changing the subject and just being very playful. This annoyed me, not because of what the mum was doing, but because of what Kourtney was doing. And I was like, why are you trying to put her into this therapy mode? Even though I would argue that I'm probably more similar to the Kourtney character, if that makes sense. And it made me realize that we can't change people. Secondly, we have to recognize that there is beauty in both. Both are very admirable. It's almost like the masculine and the feminine, the doing and the feeling. And I definitely was a doer for the majority of my life. And then I think post-COVID, I probably shifted more into feel. And now I'm trying to find my way back into the middle, because I realized that before I would push through with everything, and I felt like I was losing that spark of myself a little bit. I was noticing, I'm feeling a little bit tired. That means that I won't go to the gym today. And that's not, I don't like that. That's not me. I don't resonate with that. So I've tried to shift a little bit, and I just want to give some tips on kind of how I think you can try to find the balance and know which voice to listen to in your head. If you're a girl, I think following your period is really helpful, following your cycle. And this is what I often do. So if you're on your period, you probably are feeling quite tired and your body is quite drained. So if I am feeling tired, I often do sway to listening to that voice. If I'm in the follicular phase, so that's right after the period, and that's about a week. So if we say our period's day 1 to day 7, the follicular would be about day 7 to day 14. Energy is rising and we're feeling slightly more ourselves, estrogen is increasing in the body. Here, again, I'm listening a little bit more to the do. I'm kind of like, okay, it's okay that you're feeling things, but if you can, you are probably able to go to the gym, exercise, see a friend, whatever. Yeah, so I'm trying to push myself in that way. Ovulation is about day 14, day 17. You're feeling at your peak here. Go and do things. And then after ovulation, day 17 to however long your cycle is, progesterone is increasing, we're feeling a little bit lower. Again, I kind of shift more towards the feel. So I think that's a really helpful way to use your cycle to do that, because it just shows you where to tend to, if that makes sense. Secondly, I think this is, you know, if you're older, you have more experience, so you can kind of use this tip a bit better, but kind of looking back on the experiences in your life and seeing, what do I do every time that makes me feel shit? Every time I go to a club, I don't feel good. There's never a time where I'm like, oh, I'm really happy that I pushed through with this, you know? So like that, when you identify those experiences, there's never a moment where the push through was worth it. It's never really worth it to push through. Your intuition's probably telling you not to do it, and that's the voice you should listen to. Thirdly, I think the boundaries with yes and no are also very important. I always used to be a yes person, saying yes to everyone, saying yes to everything. I still kind of am. I do say yes quite often. I really try to help people as much as I can. I will never really say no to help someone. But if I don't want to go to something, or if I'm not that close with someone, I don't prioritize them anymore. And I'm very happy to say no now. It doesn't really bother me as much as it used to. I don't get upset about hurting their feelings or anything like that. I just know that I don't have the capacity to, you know, I'm not doing any malicious, I just don't have the capacity. So who are you with? Who are your yeses? You know, I have a little circle in my head who I'm like, this is my yes crew, that if they need something, I'll always say yes, because that's my circle, and things that I will say yes to too. And then I've got my no's as well. So I think it's useful to kind of divide where your energy goes, and that also helps with the feeling and doing, because if something's in your yes pile, you're more prone to the do, because you made it's part of your value system, you know. Yeah. And lastly, don't feel that you owe anyone anything. I think that kind of ties into the previous thing, but when we say yes, I think, and we don't want to a lot of the time, it's because we feel that maybe we owe that person a yes, or owe that thing a yes, when we don't. And this is something that I'm also working on. I find it very difficult. I find it easy to say I don't want to do something initially, but then if someone pushes and pushes and pushes against me, I'm very bad at pushing back. I always succumb. But it kind of ties in with the yes and no thing. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed my little stories and my tips. Yeah, I realised that was a little bit all over the place, but yeah, leave any comments below about things that you resonated with. I'd love to know, and I hope that you enjoyed, and I'll probably be doing something similar next week. If there's any topics that you want me to talk about, please let me know. I'm sure I'll have something to say on it. So yeah, thank you, bye.